YouTube, how we doing? Past the prop. We are back Friday. It is divisional round NFL action here. We got 4 games to break down with you guys today. Joined as always by my guy Stu. What's good, man?
Nothing much. It's the best time of the year. We got playoff football. We just had a week of, some solid games. We had one fantastic game and a couple of blowouts. And what I think that means the football gods owe us a couple good ones coming up here. We got some crazy spreads, but also a lot of people on the underdogs for good reason. I mean, 2 of the most exciting young quarterbacks in the league as like big underdogs. I think we're going to get some good storylines this weekend. I'm pumped for these games. A lot of really good matchups, a lot of really good spots to bet on. Excited to come through and talk about them all today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we got our guy, Ben Wolby, back here joining us. Second time on here for some NFL action. We're happy to have you back, man. How you been?
It's so great to be back. I've been good. Getting back into doing a little bit more prop action. The show is a great place to be for that. And I'm with Stu. We got some really fun matchups, some teams that match up together really nicely this weekend. So hopefully we can make some sense of the data, make some sense of the noise, and win some props.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know there's some big boy spreads out there, but obviously if you go by the season numbers, it probably is warranted. But we're going to be able to break down all 4, right? We got bets in every single one of those games, which makes this even more fun for us. Usually it's just me and Stu, and we're rolling out. We only got usually like 1 or 2 plays in every other game, but now we got 1 in every game, which I like to see. I guess we'll just start out here with just your favorite game. I'll let you start us off, Ben. You got a favorite game, the one that's catching your eye. It doesn't have to be the one you have the most bets in, but one that you're most excited about this weekend.
I mean, most excited, it's actually the game I have the fewest bets on, has got to be Kansas City against the Buffalo Bills. I don't have any play. I have 1 play for that game, but I just feel like anything can happen. Yes, the Bills are favorites. They probably should be, but it's Pat Mahomes in the playoffs in a road game. Never seen that. So a lot of uncertainty, but a lot to be excited for. I think we're all excited for that game. Probably the game of the week.
Yes, sir. Stu, what are you thinking here?
I mean, I'm going back to the Packers for the second week in a row. I mean, just the entertainment value of coming out and stomping the Cowboys. I somehow found a bar last week full of non-Cowboys fans. It was all Packers guys, which is very rare in the DMV. A lot of Cowboys guys around here. I was almost sad in the end. I wish I could have seen more of them unhappy. That would have made me feel better about my team's season. But we got a little bounce back with the Eagles fans feeling unhappy later in the day. That made me happy enough to get through the day. So that was all good. But I love the Packers again this week. 49ers have been one of my favorite teams to bet on in the postseason over these last couple of years. But man, I think this game could be very interesting. I do. I think if the Packers get out to like a 7-0 lead, a 10-0 lead, if they can come out the gate as hot as they have so far this year, that puts the 49ers offense in an interesting position. And I'm just super excited. I think we're going to see points. I think we're going to see action. We're going to see explosive plays. That's what you want in playoff football. I know Chiefs-Bills is kind of the hot ticket. I think we actually see a lot of running, a lot of check downs, not the things you want from Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. I think we're going to get the chucking from Jordan Love tonight or Saturday.
Yeah, I can't take the Packers because, I'm a homer. You guys know I'm going to talk about that game a lot. I'm going to have bets in that game. I don't know who stops who in that game, to be honest. I really don't. I know that San Francisco's defense is nice, but, bro, I mean, it's just – every game it's somebody different, man. It's just a carousel. You can't put – who are you going to put your best guy on? You don't even know. Like, I don't even know if Christian Watson's going to be playing. He's probably a little bit more 100% this week than he was last week. He was pretty much just a decoy last week, and Romeo Doubs hasn't played anything in the last 5. Dude, the last 5 weeks of the season, dude was garbage, bro. He was absolute garbage, and now just, hey – yeah, we're ready. We'll show up when we need to. But I like that Tampa game, bro. I like Tampa, Detroit. For me, that's the one I'm going to have the most bets in just because as a fan, knowing my team is as big of a dog as they were. I talked about this on the show like the 3rd week of season. I'm like, I have no high expectations here. Even when they were 2-0, everybody's talking about it. I got no high expectations. So I got to almost hedge my heart bets a little bit more here. And I like that Detroit game. I talked about on here. I got my best ball line, my best one that made it through, and the big one has a stack from both sides. So I have a Tampa stack and a Detroit stack. So one of them's going away after this week, but hopefully we can have some fireworks and have the 2 NFC games just show out this week.
Oh yeah. And I mean, to be honest, when you look at it too, I mean, it's hard not to root for Baker Mayfield, right? I know that's a sentence we didn't expect to be saying in 2024, right? But this is a guy that he's been really impressive recently. And I've been a hater a lot of the season on the Bucs offense, Todd Bowles specifically. And I will say I was really impressed. They came out with their most aggressive early down passing attack of the season in their biggest moment last year. To me, that is really impressive from an offensive coordinator standpoint as well. To see, we see this weakness, we're going to go out there and press when they really haven't done that a lot this season. I think that's something they can do again against the Lions. I don't think this Lions pass defense is really anything to be scared of whatsoever. So it's just kind of about Baker Mayfield. If he gets out there and makes those throws, that's going to be a really, really fun game.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that the Detroit has this pass funnel defense. Everybody's passing the ball against them. They're allowing one of the highest rates of explosive plays. And Baker Mayfield has been a gunslinger. What did he have? 337. I think it may have gotten switched to 336. But either way, had a huge game last week. I'm excited to see what he can do against this defense.
Yes, sir. I've been a little bit more on the Tampa side than Stu just because of Rachaad White. He's been making me money this year. But Baker had to be my fantasy quarterback when Joe Burrow got hurt. So I've been riding that Baker train probably more than I thought I was going to this year. But dude's a dog, man. He gets hurt like every game but finds a way to get through it. Not as crazy as the Stafford eyes roll back in your head for 5 seconds and I'm going to put you back in the game 5 minutes later. I thought my bet was done, bro. Luckily on the show I had 250 and we were good, but dude, how does he come back in on that, man? That might be a different story, but I just had to bring that up a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's good to see a guy working for our coin out there, as someone that bets a lot of sports, a lot of blowouts, guys going out early. It's good to see someone grit through it. Obviously shout out to Stafford, ready to bet you next year, buddy.
Yes, sir. We will put this up just because we're about to drop some plays. We got 35 live viewers in here in the first 7 minutes. Hit that like button for us if you could. Hit that subscribe. We've been getting at like 70 likes there these last couple of videos. Shout out you guys for showing out for us. Hopefully we can make you some more money here today. Numbers for the season fully updated, 56, 47, 11.49 units for you guys. Let's keep adding to it. And I will get to the first game on the docket, which I believe is the Ravens-Texans game. Just looking at these numbers, just the overlying numbers, we got 9.5-point dogs on the Texans side. Mark Andrews officially ruled out today, 43.5 total. Stu, I will let you take it away. Which of the 4 sides we talk about? Total, spread, over, under. What do you want? Which one are you leaning to? And then we'll get to Ben's official play here.
Yeah, man, this is a tough one. This is a fun one for me. I mean, might be my hardest game of the week, to be completely honest. I saw a really interesting tweet earlier in the week where someone asked, is this the biggest underdog CJ Stroud might ever be in his career? And obviously that sounds like a kind of a loaded statement, but when you really think about it, I mean, with what we've seen so far, it's kind of hard to see this guy as a 9-10 point underdog in the future right here. So that is an interesting kind of perspective, just to look at this game from afar. But obviously, for me, I think if I had to bet this game, I probably still would take the Ravens side. I mean, I wouldn't hate betting every underdog this week, to be completely honest. I think we're going to get a lot of live games. For me, what it comes down to is a lot of people, when they talk about the Ravens, they've kind of talked about the rushing game in this game, right? And how the Texans have been very phenomenal at stuffing the run. But for me, I actually think the Ravens have been their most impressive this season against all the teams that are really good at stuffing the run. Not only is their play action game phenomenal and has Lamar Jackson actually put up some really good numbers, but when you look at it, even guys like Gus Edwards and some of these tougher matchups, right? He's actually grinded it out, still been very consistent. They're a team that they're not the most efficient inside zone running team ever, but they still love it. And they love it because it sets up so much of the rest of their offense. So when you look at it, these teams that have been stellar at stopping that, the Lions, the Dolphins, these kind of teams that you think are going to give them a tough time, those are the teams they blew out. Those are the teams they played the best against. So for me, Stroud has had some major splits in a dome versus outside of a dome in his career. And if there's one thing I know about this Baltimore team, they're tough. They're ready to go. I think they can play in the rain. They can play in the cold. They're very comfortable there. It fits their style of play. So I'm excited for that one. I want to see what CJ can do. I took the Browns last week. I was on the wrong side of that one. You never want to doubt, an up-and-coming superstar. But I do think if I had to bet a side, it would probably be the Ravens for me.
Awesome. I love your breakdown there, Stu. And just for sake of time, let's get Ben's play. I think that definitely kind of correlates with what you said about this game already. Love to see the spot kind of talking about it here.
Yeah, and I want to talk about this, but I will also say, as much as I love Houston's plus 9.5, I was able to get them plus 16.5 with over 36.5 as the game total, echoing everything Stu said. Two pretty explosive offenses, and even with a backdoor cover, 16.5, that's going to happen, I feel like. So pretty solid for around even value. This play you are seeing below. Let's talk about this. Lamar Jackson's longest completion over 36.5. The Texans are giving up the sixth highest rate of explosive pass plays, and we're going to talk about that specifically when we talk about Detroit. I know I teased it a little bit earlier, but the Texans have given up 59 passes of 20 or more yards. That is roughly 10% of their passes. That's what's considered explosive, and that is the sixth most. And when you take a look at this line, no team has allowed more completions of 37 or more yards than the Texans. Yes, they are sixth highest in explosive plays, but just looking at plays of 37 or more, it's the Texans. They are giving up the most. 18 in the regular season with an additional 2 last week, both to Amari Cooper. You look at Lamar Jackson, on the other hand, and he has been so incredibly efficient. He has been top 5 generating these types of completions. He has 12 on the season, but significantly fewer passer attempts than some of the other quarterbacks. For example, Jackson, he has 12. That is the same number as Jalen Hurts, who had 120 more pass attempts in the regular season than Lamar Jackson. If you consider that Houston has been pretty solid at containing mobile quarterbacks are rushing at the 9th lowest rate versus Houston. And also, throw the week 1 game out the window, but it's worth noting that Jackson was sacked 4 times against the Houston Texans. He only had 6 total rushes. They game planned for his mobility. We might see Lamar shaking off some of that rust, a huge, 20 days of rest. He's going to be taking some deep shots. He's going to be doing what he's been doing all season long. And I think that you got some pretty good value. My model likes this about 62% of the time to go over.
I like it. And I mean, I like what Stu talked about there too a little bit, because these guys will just run 5, 6, 7 straight times just to open up that one deep ball here. And we always talk about on longest completion, longest rush. Lamar could have 100 yards the whole game, man, passing. All it takes is one. All it takes is one explosive play to be getting here. And obviously we really like having the longest completion, longest rush on the show. Those are, I think we've been betting those a little bit too much this year, and they've been cashing because all you take – he could be sucking the whole game. Don't matter. He's going to show out one play and obviously gets us there. Got the explosive Flowers on the outside, OBJ on the outside. Stu, you have anything else to put on this one here on Ben's play before we get to the next game?
Yeah, no, we're completely on the same page right here. I love this Lamar look. I think this has been an undervalued way to attack mobile quarterbacks all year long, whether that be a Justin Fields or a Lamar Jackson. I almost would prefer attacking the longest completion over the traditional yard, just because these guys aren't only just able to generate an explosive play at a high level because of their pocket passing ability, but also due to broken down runs, right? Safeties scrambling. Do I have to go up and check Lamar Jackson? Do I drop back in coverage? These are very hard decisions to make, and Lamar Jackson is fantastic at extending plays. So for me, I do have some Odell Beckham over longest reception at 17.5. I think the biggest thing is always which player do you pick, right? That's why I do like this Lamar look right here, because Stingley's fantastic, but he's probably not gonna shadow anyone. I don't think Flowers is quite, shadow worthy yet at this point in his career. I mean, Rashad Bateman on the outside is going to be there as well. I know it's names that people don't like, the Nelson Aguilars, these real ugly names, but these guys have still generated explosive plays really no matter to who it's for, So obviously Mark Andrews led this team in target share by far versus cover 2, which is what we saw the Texans running a lot of towards the end of the season. And no Mark Andrews, I think that opens up likely as well. So for me, a guy like Flowers is not someone I'm as interested on the outside, to be honest. He struggled a lot versus cover 2 looks this year. I think guys like Likely, I think guys like OBJ are the guys that are going to step up the most, but I do love going to Lamar because, it's really hard to pick who's going to get it. We're all going to be pissed if Rashad Bateman has the 40-yard catch.
Dude, there's so many of those guys though this week. for quarterbacks, right? That you can
Yeah.
just look around. It's like, who's going to be that dude? There's like San Francisco's 3 dudes, right? I mean, Packers, it might be 9 guys at this point that I can't even keep track of, bro. And they're my team. I don't even know who's going to go off. So it's just tough. So it's like, hey, you know what's going to the quarterback. That's why I have a lot of quarterback bets in this week, just because I don't want to have to guess on these individual guys doing it here. But I have a question coming from our guy Alex in here. I'll kick it to you, Ben. Do you have any thoughts on this? We got. How do you think Humphrey being out impacts the game? Is that an impact like that over? I know you talked about the over a little bit there. Is that kind of jumping in with your reasoning there? Or is that something that you feel for the spread? You had the 16.5 points. That helps your spread there.
Yeah, this is my buddy Alex, who's in the chat, and I'm kind of annoyed. He's putting me on the spot. This is a hard question to answer. And I'm honestly really not too sure. I do think that Stroud, like Stu was saying, we may never get him at plus 9.5 again. And I think that Humphrey being out is a big reason why I love the 9.5. I think Stroud is awesome. Nico Collins is a guy who's been doing it every which way possible. I really wish Tank Dell was still here too, so that way we could kind of see what, this offense could really do at full strength. But like I was saying, that plus 16.5 over 35.5, I think that this kind of captures, when you parlay those two together, I think that really captures the upside that you're going to get from this offense being explosive, especially without Humphrey, and then the upside that you're getting from the Ravens as well.
Yeah, and I want to say too, a guy like Stevens who stepped up from the number 2 corner to he's been the number 1 corner most of the year. So it's not like he's not used to taking on these high level matchups. And I'd actually argue he's one of the more underrated corners in the league. That's why I was personally really excited to see the Humphrey duo back, but obviously we're not going to see that. So I'll say, I still think Collins is going to have a hard matchup no matter what. But when you look at what these Ravens do really well on defense, they're actually phenomenal, especially really against the slot. I mean, a guy like Hamilton has stepped up in a major way. A guy like Geno Stone has stepped up in a major way. Their safety rotations, their linebackers are great in coverage, right? Arguably the second best linebacker duo, if not the best in the league right now. So for me, I actually do think it affects a lot of these other guys over Collins, because even though Stevens is really good, we're not going to see them move him around. He's not going to shadow. Collins is going to have his opportunities. I'm curious, the Robert Woods, I need to see the updated report on him. He obviously wasn't playing as much as you'd hope. And now Hutchinson is not a guy I want to depend on. Mechie is not a guy I want to depend on. And Schultz, man, it's been very inconsistent. It's funny. I don't know if any of you guys saw, I was shit talking Brevin Jordan in the Discord. I was like, oh, we're seeing more 12 personnel, boys. It's happening. Someone goes, oh, Brevin Jordan. I'm like, no, that guy's terrible. Instantly 50-yard catch.
Yeah, 70-yard touchdown there showing out. Crazy. Well, we got who's who here in the chat, man. We got some dogs out here. Got Impulse in here. Our guy Jason in here as well. Impulse talking about hating on the A. Dude, I think this is I think we're good with Sirianni being out, bro. We're good with that. That's all right. We got Ahan in here as well. Awesome. He said he took the Odell longest completion and he upgraded it to a super sperm whale max. I haven't heard that one. I've heard the max mega whale. I don't know if I've heard the sperm whale max. I don't know if that's bigger or worse, or I don't know what it is. So that sounds big to me. So we're gonna end up betting on that one as well. So I can't wait to lock that one in as well. Heading to, I guess, my game of the week, right? We got my Packers playing Saturday Night Football here. I'm excited for that one. I got to pull up these numbers now because I know they've been moving a little bit. We got a 50.5 point total, 9.5, same spread as the last game there. We got a lot of plays in this one. So obviously we're going to talk about that a little bit. I don't remember the last time I seen a 50 total here in a playoff game, man. This is pretty nuts. Obviously in San Francisco bounced the Packers when they were the one years back. So now it's like, hey, maybe we can see it happen here. Going the other way. Maybe we could see something crazy happen here. Ben, you got a take on this game. I know me and Stu have our bets on one side of this one. Or I think it's just me and this one on that side, and you're on the other side for this one. For your other play. So are you leaning towards I'm just looking at the spread total. You have a lean on either side for those?
Too explosive. like I've been saying, I think that this is just a bunch of teams that match up really well. More explosive offenses. I like the over here. I also think that like teasing the totals and the spreads is a really profitable thing here. This might be another game where I maybe tease both the spread on the dog and the total down, parlay them together, and just get something at -120 where I feel really good about both sides.
Yeah, no, I like that approach as well. I mean, this is tough for me, man. I lean towards the over as well. I mean, man, I like it's for me. It's San Francisco or bust. I'm not. Or sorry, whoa. Other side, Green Bay or bust. Green Bay or bust. I'm not betting the Niners.
Woo, you just made me sweat there a little.
No. I like the Niners. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of what they do in general, but I do think this Packers team, right, that's kind of relied on generating these explosive plays, can challenge San Francisco in a way that most teams can't, right? Especially when we look at their stats without Hufanga when he went out at safety, right? There are some downfield opportunities to be taken advantage of against this Niners defense. The thing is, they're fantastic over the middle of the field. Their linebacker duo is phenomenal, right? They take out the middle better than pretty much any other team in football. And then they're great against the run. That D-line gets at you. They're great pass rushing unit as well. So it's going to be tough for the Packers, no doubt about it. But for me, the way they generate these downfield explosive plays, the way they don't necessarily rely on Jordan Love checking his way down the field, right? They've shown that they're going to unleash his offense. And man, who's been a better play caller than LaFleur over this second half of the season? The guy's been a man on an absolute mission. So for me, I love how aggressive he's been, and I don't hate betting them in the first half as well. I don't think it's fully baked into the number how aggressive they've been. They've just been going for it. They've been taking it, and if they get that opportunity, they will, and that's an extra possession in the first half that you maybe can't account for in general. So I like Green Bay in this one. I expect it to be close, and honestly, if Green Bay gets up early, I think they can win this game. Like, I don't think that's out of touch at all. So I'm super excited for this one. I think it's going to be an absolute battle.
Yeah, isn't it crazy that I talked about that, the first 8 weeks, how absolutely awful this team was in the first half. And they would just play really well in the second half. And I'm like, put the full game together. And now it just like flips, man. They're just like going crazy, being aggressive, not having to worry about too many runs on those first down. They're finally passing on first down. Thank God. I'm tired of watching A.J. Dillon run 3-yard runs into the back of the center and falling over. But he's been out these last couple games. I don't know, man. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. But he might not be in there again this week. We might see some good things happen here.
If you didn't say it, I was just about to hop in. Hey, it's no fucking coincidence, guys. We've been talking about that. This is the lowest explosive rush rate since entering the league. Why do we need to see A.J. Dillon 8 carries for 23 yards every week? Like, that's so unnecessary. And now that LaFleur can't do that, they've been better. They've just been much better. Give Aaron Jones every one of those carries. It's playoff season, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. I had My hate for A.J. Dillon is continuous. You guys, if you've been watching the show this year, it's been a lot. And I'm happy that now it's correlating to us getting some wins here when he isn't playing, because Aaron Jones is a dog, dude. He needs to be out there 80% of the time. The dude can actually catch the ball, be explosive in space. I'll take my first one here, and then we'll kick it over to Ben because he's got one on the other side as his other play there. Mine's going to be a combo with the two quarterbacks. I don't want to pick a specific receiver. 225 for Jordan Love's -180. I can't get away from that one, man. When we've been in playoff time, which I would count the last 6 weeks, Jordan Love has been crushing this number. The only time he didn't hit it was against Carolina, and I don't even want to talk about that game because that was the Joe Barry hate special where he gave up 300 to Bryce Young and 99 yards, 2 touchdowns to DJ Chark. So that was that game. I don't want to bring that one back up. I'm trying to flush that one from my memory. But Jordan Love's been absolutely awesome here. I don't expect the big plays like last week. I don't expect Luke Musgrave to be standing there with 20 yards of space. I don't expect Romeo Doubs to be sitting there 20 yards of space. But I do expect us to be able to move the ball on these guys. I don't expect just to lay down on these guys, right? We saw the Ravens offense crush on these guys there. You go up and down the line here. Obviously, I'm not saying they're as good as the Ravens offense, but you get to see the Cardinals put up 29 points on these guys, right? I mean, if we're going to see those types of numbers from, I would say, inferior offenses, I don't see why a team that's clicking right now, the Drew Lock 260 game, right? Drew Lock started against these dudes and threw for 260, right? So Jordan Love's got a lot of dudes right now. Wicks, his 2 targets, he turns it into a touchdown. Watson's been getting that ball down deep. I don't even know if he's just going to be a decoy this week, but whatever it is, the dude all he needs to do is be out there and take that safety down the field with him. You got Jaden Reed underneath, who everybody's talking about how good Jordan Love played. I would say Jaden Reed is number one. He didn't even touch the ball, right? So that's just how many guys and how much depth you have here. And I have to go with just straight Jordan Love, not trying a receiver. There's too many options. Tucker Kraft and now Musgrave combining into two rookie tight ends that are looking really good for these guys in the short passing game, which is why I always take the completions here. Going to Baker, we'll talk about it in a little bit. Baker's, I love this matchup for him. I like attacking the secondary, but I like buying it down a little bit here. You're getting a nice line. I think it's like 280, minus 280. Jordan Love obviously doing the heavy carrying here, which is why I'm talking about it in this game. But, dude, I'm ready for a Mike Evans pop-off game. I'm ready for Godwin going crazy here. And, hey, might be a little Rashad White receiving ladder game for your boy here because I can't get away from betting that, man. And he's just going to this is going to be that game. I have a feeling that dump-off city here from Baker showing out after a 330 performance. So give me plus money on these two guys. Obviously, like I said, Jordan Love doing most of the heavy work. But sign me up, baby. Like I said, 4 of his last 5 games. And all these receivers are kind of getting into that second-year type of feel now, all those rookie guys. So sign me up. Jaden Reed, come on. Give me a bounce back, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I like this combo a lot. I like that it's plus money as well. I mean, for me, I think Jordan Love's passing number is good value right there. That's mostly because I like the over in the game. I think Brock Purdy's passing is good value as well. And when I look at it, right, a guy like Love, and I already talked about, why I like him so much specifically in this matchup. But when you look at how the Packers are going to win or lose this game, they're going to have to pass no matter what, right? That's the number one thing for me. It's like whether the Packers are on top, whether they're trailing all game, unlocking the passing game is key for them. So for me, I like that. I think they're going to be forced to pass no matter what. And we obviously hit on Baker already, but definitely loving this combo for plus money.
Beautiful. And we will actually send it over to you, Ben. I know your second play is in this game on the opposite side here. I can't hate on this one, man. They've been absolutely torched across the middle. So I'm excited to see what you have to say.
So let's talk about this, right? My process starts by running a model that I built, and this might be very controversial, but there's a play my model really liked, and I kind of been playing with it. This is the line I set myself up with, but I think the one thing that the Packers have done really, really well this season, and part of the reason why I do like them plus 9.5 is because of how they are containing running backs in the pass game. And when you think about the 49ers, they have a lot of weapons, but none better than Christian McCaffrey, whose longest reception line is set at 14.5. Now, my model loves the under on that, and if you're like me, doesn't matter what any model says. You are not betting an under on Christian McCaffrey, right? Guess how many running back receptions Green Bay has allowed of 15 or more all season? 6. On 107 running back targets, they have allowed 6 to go longer than this line, right? So only natural for a model to say, yeah, Christian McCaffrey over 15 or under 15 on his longest reception, whatever. I'm not betting that. I don't care. I don't care what my model says. You think about what the Packers have been doing so well that is allowing them to stop receiving running backs is how they use their linebackers. Their linebackers are pressuring the backfield. They are great at winning pass rush. I think they have the 6th highest pressure rate. They are running a zone-heavy scheme, which leaves the middle of the field open, right? So because of that, that's where you get that George Kittle advantage. The middle of the field is open. They're stopping running backs. They're playing zone. And George Kittle, 22.5 yards. He's gone over that in 10 games. He's 10-6 on this line. And the Packers are allowing the 3rd most tight end receptions of 20 or more. You think about the Niners, they are yak experts. Kittle's got that big play yak ability. I think he can eke out those 3 extra yards. And even though my model prefers the CMC play, if you like betting against the crowd, take the under there because my model prefers it. But I'm betting with my head and not my heart here, not my model. I'm going to be taking the George Kittle line. It's the head over the heart play, 61% over probability. I wouldn't take both because of the correlation. They'll either go 2-0 or 0-2 is the way I see it. So I'm picking Kittle here.
Yeah, I love this bet right here. I really do. I think Kittle's in a great spot. For me, I think if you're one of those people that is looking to build some of these long shot parlays, I do think with his, well-known yak ability, I think those kind of like ladder receiving yards is actually pretty good value. And we're going to get to the touchdown a little bit later. I think for me, my pushback to the CMC play would be, obviously I'm a little biased. I had over 12.5 a lot earlier this year. So that definitely helped me out with CMC. But I would say when you look at this Packers linebacker core, you're 100% right. And when you see a guy like Quay Walker in coverage, you just start to think, like, is Shanahan going to have 5 million yards over the middle in this game? Like truly, this guy has his feet in cement, right? And like you said, they are good at actually pass rushing, getting those sacks. It makes the linebacker tackles bets a little rougher because you don't want your linebacker blitzing. You don't want, because that's a lower conversion rate play, right? So I've been very tapped in. I'm sure Justin can speak to the Packers linebackers a little better. But for me, when I look at this game, I think San Francisco is just going to destroy them over the middle. Like, it is so unbelievably weak. And right, when you look at the 49ers from empty running back sets, right, where they motion CMC out, they lead the league in those kind of empty sets, right? And they have the most yards, they have the most EPA per play, and they have the most yards per attempt in those sets, where CMC is essentially functioning as a slot receiver. So for me, when they're elite out of that formation and I see absolutely no counter from these slow linebackers from the Packers, then I think CMC might do this work as a receiver alone, not even counting those backfield dump downs. So for me, that would be my counter to that one. I do like CMC in the receiving game a decent amount. I don't know how I'm going to play it quite yet at this point, but I agree. Kittle and CMC for me are both in store for massive days.
Yeah. And I'll push back one last time to your pushback too. CMC hasn't really had a ton of receptions of 15 or longer. That's a big number to hit. Running backs in general just don't hit that. But when he does, it's a home run play. And we know if anybody's hitting a home run in this game on the San Francisco 49ers, it's going to be Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely agree with you on the Quay Walker coverage portion. I'm thinking you're gonna see a lot of those like choice routes for the running back right out of the backfield, just coming across the middle spot there. It's just, dude, it's been tough because they've been getting a lot of pressure. They weren't getting that early in the year, man. Rashawn Gary's playing like a man on a mission, bro. Like, that dude is on an absolute tear right now. I know Quay Walker had like 12 tackles last week as well, throwing that in there. I don't know what happened to Keyshawn Nixon, but he's good now on defense. I don't know what happened, but now the dude's like one of our leading tacklers. Like, come on now. It's just wild to me that he's actually doing something on defense when he's the all-pro kick returner. I was not expecting to see him in the back end of our defense, which kind of scares me for big plays here because he's a kick returner for us. I don't see him as like our third best guy in the secondary, which is scary. So, yeah, I've seen enough guys running across the middle on the Packers this year. I've watched every game, watched way too many times throwing stuff. When I'm like, dude, they're running the same shit. They're just running guys across the middle. And again, talking about that Carolina game, that's literally all they did was just run dudes in the middle of the field. And DJ Chark was just wide open, and Jonathan Mingo was open. Bryce Young just couldn't hit him. There was just so many open opportunities, and we're not that far removed from that game. I know that everybody's thinking about these recency bias game. Bryce Young threw for 300 on these dudes. Like, I'm telling, like, this defense is not that good. Just, dude, Dak just looked scared out there, man, and there was just a lot of pressure. So, I think that this team will have a little bit better schematic options here than Mike McCarthy. And God, that made me feel good watching McCarthy suck. That was awesome. So I'm hyped. So
it's interesting too to see the whole world. I mean, hyping up Jair Alexander. Is he going to play or is he not? I mean, if the guy is so amazing, could we get him off of Michael Gallup and Brandon Cooks every once in a while? Like, he's not even shadowing anyone anymore. It's like people are like talking in the comments like he's going to massively shift the prop markets. Like, the guy wasn't covering Jalen Tolbert for half of the drives last week. Like, it'll be interesting. I'm super excited. For me, the biggest thing is just, and the reason I don't have any picks personally in this game is because I honestly see an advantage for the 49ers in every offensive position. Like, I actually don't know who to pick. Like, I see such, I think I can make a really convincing argument for every single one of those guys, including like Juwan Jennings, you know? So that scares me. When you see that many advantages, it's really up to Shanahan and how he's going to best attack this defense. And for me, none of us can really know that very well, except, you know, kind of game planning off of attacking the middle of the field, which is why I like this Kittle bet a lot right here.
Beautiful. Let's move on. We are through Saturday. We are on to Sunday. Ahan bringing up Christian Watson. Hey, all I'm saying is all it takes is one for him, baby. Dude just literally just gets targeted in the end zone almost every single time. He doesn't get targeted anywhere else anymore. Dude has hamstrings of like a 96-year-old man. So hopefully he can figure it out here soon. And hopefully, I don't know, dude, you got so much money, man. Just find somebody who can like get you a hammy or something, bro. Go find it in something else. I don't know what you got to do, but figure it out, man. We got to do something. Tampa Bay.
Send him over to Spain and help him get that LeBron knee surgery or whatever. Get some stem cells in there over the counter, baby. You just gotta get a little bit tricky with it in the offseason, Christian. I got some guys. Hit me up. We can do some clever things. No health insurance needed.
All right. Oh my gosh. 57 of you guys in here live with us. Hit that like button, please. And let's get to Sunday. We got Tampa Bay at Detroit. 49 total on DraftKings, minus 112 to the over. 6.5 point spread, juiced towards the Lions here. Stu, I'll let you talk about it quick here first before we get into some plays. Total side, what are you leaning?
Over. That's where we're going. As soon as I heard this line on Sunday, which, by the way, I do a Sunday night show, Analytics Capper. It's very fun. Tommy Freeze pops. One thing I have learned is to stop making so many definitive statements at Sunday night, because that is an easy way to look like a dumbass. And I've definitely learned from that mistake over the course of the year. As soon as I saw 49, I went, oh my God, smash that over. There is no way that is going down for the rest of the week. And then like 10 minutes later, the line went down to 48.5. So that was very funny to me, but I honestly couldn't believe it. Now we're back at 49. That makes me feel a little bit better. I was worried it would still be at 48.5 right here. I like the over. We've already kind of hit on it a little bit with the Baker stuff and talking about these games earlier, but I really just don't see not San Francisco. I don't see this Detroit secondary being able to slow down a pass-happy Tampa Bay team, right? Earlier in the year, we saw Tampa Bay have arguably their worst game of the season. I think Baker was really unimpressive. I had Mike Evans' longest reception in that game, and I did not feel very good after that game because he dropped multiple 30-plus yard passes in that one, as well as Baker missing a couple wide open guys. Obviously, that's not going to excuse everything right here, but what we've seen over these last couple of weeks, I have a lot of confidence. Like I said, Canales coming out, pass heavy, baby, early down throwing. That was huge for me to see. That's not something they've done very aggressively all season long, and it's something I've criticized them a lot for. I love to see how they mixed up the play call in last week. I think they're going to stay aggressive, and like I said, I'm not scared of this Detroit defense, right? They're a team that they have a solid pressure rate. Their quick pressure rate isn't very good, and in my opinion, I'm lower on Hutchinson than a lot of other people are around. I'm not incredibly terrified of this pass rush. I'm more scared of running against this team. I don't really think you can do that, especially getting healthy on that D-line again. So for me, it's kind of putting the ball in Baker's hands. And I know it's crazy to say that. That's where I want it. That's where I've wanted it all year long because he's been efficient as hell. So for me, I like the over. I like some points. I think it's going to be a really fun game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You got a side there, Ben, at all? You have a lean on the side at all, or teasing up the dog again? Rolling with that dog?
So I've been talking about Detroit since the offseason. I've been saying that they were going to be a top 5 offense all season long. And that still carries into now. They are one of the most electric, most exciting teams to watch in the entire NFL. But when we talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've been silently explosive. When they are firing on all cylinders. I teased about this at the very beginning of the show, but the Detroit Lions, they're allowing the most explosive passing plays in the NFL, and Baker Mayfield has the most completions of 39 or more. I was thinking about playing Baker Mayfield's longest completion over 38.5. Because of that, you know that the Lions are going to allow a ton of these big plays. You know that Baker's had a ton of these big plays all season long. Consider that there's probably a negative game script going on with Tampa Bay. I do like them. I do think that they will keep this game competitive. But ultimately, I don't really love the over as much as Stu. I lean over, but I think if I had to take anything, it would probably be Tampa Bay's team total over 20.5. I just don't see how you don't score at least 2 touchdowns, and I think it's probable that you score a third. So I do really like the Tampa Bay team total over. I think there are a ton of fun ways to attack this game. I know you guys are going to talk about that, but I do really like, if you're not going to take Baker Mayfield overs, some Chris Godwin overs, even some Trey Palmer overs. Sheesh, if that dude wakes up pissed off, I'm taking all the overs I can on him. Detroit, again, a pass funnel defense. I just think the passing game, there's going to be a lot of ways to attack it.
Am I the only one who once I saw that trend, put the notification bell on for Trey Palmer now? I turned it on, bro. I'm going to be the first one on that shit. When he hits that send button, I'm ready.
That's funny.
Turn it on. We'll be shutting it off immediately once they're eliminated, so I don't have to see the rest of the summer, any of that. But I put it on. That's my only notification bell outside of like Underdog and a couple other things. But that one's up there now. He's officially getting in the notification bell spot. I know me and Stu got 2 spots in this game. I already had that bet on Baker from my last one that I talked about with Jordan Love. Me and Stu seeming to look at the same spot here a little bit, but obviously a little 2-unit on a guy. I haven't seen this in a minute.
Yeah, we're coming out the gate a little bit aggressive right here. I'm doubling up on my guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, over 7.5 receptions, plus 100 on DraftKings, over 90 receiving yards, minus 120 over on FanDuel, as well as Bet Rivers. I think minus 114 over there if you have it, slightly better price. But I know it's not as widely available. For me, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think from the second I looked at this slate was clearly my favorite play, right? And when we look at how he performed, obviously, in this matchup earlier in the year, even when they weren't forced to throw, right? He had a fantastic game. But to me, what's more important in that game is when you look at some of the specifics, right? 6 of Amon-Ra St. Brown's catches that went for 70 yards in that game all came against the blitz, right? So 6 for 70 just alone against the blitz in that first game of the season, taking away any other snaps. When we look at last week, the Bucs brought pressure on 60% of plays against the Eagles. I mean, they absolutely brought the house. And obviously, that a lot of that did have to do with the fact that the Eagles seemingly did not have an answer for the blitz. And you're going to blitz more when the other team doesn't have an answer. But it is not an outlier at all. Bowles has been a very aggressive blitz, coordinator throughout his whole career. So that was really nothing out of the ordinary. I'm expecting some heavy pressure right here. And that's the one thing I've talked about with Amon-Ra St. Brown all year long. I like him the most when Goff is under pressure, right? And Goff has made strides against the blitz over these last couple of years. So he was real shaky, when he entered his tenure in Detroit, but he slowly crept up. Now, a top 12, top 10 EPA per play kind of quarterback against the blitz. And the real coverage he absolutely shreds is cover 3. And that's what the Bucs, when they're not blitzing, they sit back. They still play the 10th most cover 3 in the league over the last 10 weeks of the season, right? So I really love to see that Jared Goff absolutely destroys cover 3. He's gotten much better against the blitz. And man, Amon-Ra St. Brown, like I said, in that Bucs game, he was his number 1 target by far against the blitz. I think he's going to absolutely lock in. I think he's going to dominate those short and intermediate routes over the middle that we know Goff loves to target him in. But as always, we can open up those explosive plays. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, I feel like that's kind of how he's taken his next step this season, right? Last year, the explosive plays weren't there as much, but I've been a lot more impressed with what I've been seeing so far this year. I'm not sleeping on this Tampa Bay secondary. They've got some solid names in there. It's definitely, a solid unit, but they play really soft, man. They play really soft when they're not, all out blitzing. They play a really soft zone. And I do think, as Goff has shown all year long, he can pick that apart. And when he's not under pressure, he can absolutely do that. And for me, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be the number 1 beneficiary. I've seen tons of smart people on Sam Laporta so far this week. I was really heavy on his under last week. I didn't get to post that one because it got taken down. Once he got that 3rd catch, I was stressing. I like his unders again this week. I hate to be that guy that's going against the community. I'm probably going to wait to get the closing line because it keeps on moving up. But I like the Laporta unders. I think McCollum is a sneaky underrated 2nd-year player over the Bucs. He's a big, lengthy corner. They play him in very specific packages. They want him out there on the tight end. He's very good there. Winfield, a phenomenal safety as well. I think he's a great deep safety. He can line up on the slot in the box sometimes, but he's the best deep safety in football probably right now. And for me, I think they're going to take away those explosive plays to the best of their ability. And I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to dominate this game. I love Amon-Ra. He's done so much for us over these last couple seasons. Let's end with a bang right here, baby. Let's crush this projection.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll just get mine over with here too, because this will be my officially 3rd straight week betting Amon-Ra. Cashed me last week with Stafford combo there. I love FanDuel for giving me this pretty nice price here as well, matching these two up. I'm going to be going right at Goff. Again, you look at Tampa, they want you to pass the ball. It's really what they want you to do. They've been really good against the run last 3 weeks. I mean, you look at them against the Jaguars. I think their leading rusher was Trevor Lawrence with like 29 yards in that one. Jamal Williams around 3.5 yards per carry at the end of the year. In that one, I'm not even going to talk about that Carolina game because that was just one of the worst games of all time and should never I would never make anybody look through that. I'm not that mean. And then 34 yards, obviously, to DeAndre Swift last week. I think on all those blitzes, where he's going to be looking. He's going to be looking at Amon-Ra again. Dude, this guy's over like an 85% catch rate, bro. Like every time I watch this game, if that ball goes to him, boom, money. So I'm going to be rolling with him again. Obviously, I love Jared Goff. At home, I will only bet him at home. That's really how I've been doing it the whole season, and it's been working out. I brought it up last week. He's averaging over 100 yards per game at home this year, Amon-Ra. So obviously that backs a little bit more of Stu's bet as well, but he's averaging over 7 catches per game as well at home. Huge drop off when he moves to the road. It is pretty wild, especially for Amon-Ra as well, moving under around that 80-yard mark. So big 20-yard boost there. But obviously when your guy plays better, your number one receiver is going to get a little bit more love there as well. So I actually don't mind that Laporte is playing in this game either. Amon-Ra is obviously Swiss Army knife, man. Doesn't matter what. He's going to be moving around. Love seeing him in that motion. And sign me up. I'm going back to Amon-Ra, getting a good price here, getting both my plays close to that plus money spot. I think we're going to get some good looks here. And shout out Jared Goff at home, man. He's an absolute beast. So sign me up. Minus 104 on FanDuel here.
Yeah, no, I love this spot. Obviously, we're definitely on the same page. You got any Amon-Ra love, Ben? You going to jump on the bandwagon with us this week?
Hey, come over to the dark side, my friend. We like it.
I'm a little upset because last week I took Amon-Ra anytime touchdown, and
the only thing he didn't do in that game.
Exactly. I was like, man, I really like this matchup this week. I'm gonna take the touchdown.
Yeah,
but no, I love Amon-Ra. I've been loving Amon-Ra all season long. I've been loving him all preseason. This offense, there's just nothing to dislike. And again, you guys were mentioning that Tampa Bay rush defense. I've been loving David Montgomery all season long, but I think this might be one of the first weeks I don't bet anything of his. I do actually love him to score a touchdown, but I think it's at minus 125, and I don't know how I feel about that, especially when you consider how good they are against the rush.
Yeah, even as someone that's so aggressive on Amon-Ra, I still like Montgomery too, man. I almost bet him last week. It's on the tip of my tongue every single week because even though this team is very efficient in the passing game, it always feels like people forget that at the end of the day, Dan Campbell is a negative pass rate over expectation guy. He likes to run the rock, he likes to establish that run, and that opens up so much of the play action stuff that they dominate with. So I really couldn't argue with you there.
Yeah, and something I thought was really interesting was the Tampa Bay defense is actually allowed, I think, numbered top 3 or top 5 quarterback rushing touchdowns. But Jared Goff's just not that guy. Jared Goff's not the guy who's going to run the ball in for a touchdown. I think he has 2 total rushes on the season. They came in the first quarter of the year. So when you're thinking, all right, well, then how are they going to be able to still take advantage of this rush defense in the red zone? It's David Montgomery. David Montgomery can run the ball on first down, second down, third down, and possibly even fourth down. Ben Johnson will do that. They'll score a touchdown on one of those downs. But again, the juice scares me off a little bit. If we're a little friendlier, I'd take it. A million other ways to attack this game. I'm not going to force myself into that play.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got 75 live viewers here, guys. Hit that like button. Thank you guys for joining us here. We're on to that last game. I think this one will go a little bit quicker because I think the other ones, we kind of talked about that one as like the only one that we weren't wanting to talk about as much. We got one play in there for you. Stu has that play for us, but let's talk about the sides here. Let's look at the numbers. It's 2.5. The Chiefs are getting plus money, plus 100 at plus 2.5, over under at 45.5. A little bit lower than these NFC games, boys. We'll kick it over. Let's go, Stu. Gun to your head. What's one of the 4 sides you're taking?
Yeah, I mean, this is a little easier. I bet Kansas City plus 3, and then I bet it again at plus 3 later in the week when it came back because I was surprised it came back. And I still think with the plus, it might come back again as well. I don't think it's over. For me, when I looked at this game, I thought 2.5, probably the right number. I really didn't think it was going to hit 3 for extended periods of time, but it actually did this week, which surprised me. It's hard. I've been on the Josh Allen bandwagon all year long. I've been on the Bills all year long, even when it hurts, even when I was getting those Eagles fans banging my door down telling me I'm an idiot. I still stood there steadfast with one of the most explosive quarterbacks in the league, and it hurts me to go against it because I do love Josh Allen. For me, it's kind of as simple as like Mahomes in the point. I know that's something that's going to be talked about a lot this week, but when I look at this game, and I kind of hinted at it earlier, and I think the total is really telling the story better than anyone, I don't think we're going to see explosive plays galore. I mean, Kansas City last week, I think it made us forget that they were not amazing before that. They were far from it, right? That was kind of their good bounce back week on national TV against a team that looked like they absolutely couldn't do anything, right? This Bills defense is not incompetent at all. The biggest thing it comes down to is the injuries on that side of the ball, right? I mean, for me, man, the Bills injury report has been tough all year, losing Milano. Now we're losing our backup linebackers. Obviously, some still questionable tags on the board right there. But I do think the Bills injury report is something that we're going to have to monitor. Gabe Davis already out. I think that's a very big deal when we look at Kansas City. They have a phenomenal corner duo right here. They're very good at limiting wide receiver 1 yards. A guy like Stephon Diggs, I lean towards the unders right here. I think he has a tough matchup. Then you go from Gabe Davis, a guy that's a vertical threat at all times, whether he's effective or not. You know that he's a vertical threat. He's going to lengthen the field for the rest of your wide receivers. Trent Sherfield doesn't do that. He's an above average blocker, but he's a nothing in the receiving game, right? So for me, kind of the tertiary weapons aren't as great anymore. And I think that's going to lead us to a lot of running. A lot of, whether it's quarterback running, some more James Cook, some more Isaiah Pacheco. I just don't think it's going to be the fireworks that people necessarily want in this kind of game. And obviously my speculation is one thing, but the total tells the story. If you don't trust me, look at the number and look at what the number when these two teams has faced in the past. That will tell you whatever you need to know. So for me, I'm excited still. I think it's going to be a good one, but maybe temper your expectations and the fireworks we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and I want to double down on that too, because I think I had said at the top of the show, this is one of my favorite games to watch this week. It's because we have no clue what's going to happen. Everyone wants to think that this is going to be Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, masterclass shootout. I just have a hard time seeing that. The Chiefs have allowed the 3rd fewest touchdowns to wide receivers this year, and the Bills, the 9th fewest. They're both bottom 10 at shutting down wide receivers in the red zone. And I'm with you. I think this is going to be the type of game where we're seeing Pat Mahomes probably run for 40 yards. Josh Allen with another huge rushing game. Those running backs, Isaiah Pacheco has been so much fun to watch. I love watching that little dude run. And James Cook too. Everybody was kind of doubting on him in the beginning of the season. And they signed Leonard Fournette. But no, this is the guy that they want on the field. So I think that we got to – you put it perfectly, Stu. The tertiary weapons here, those are the guys I'm keeping my eye on, not the big names. Even Travis Kelce is somebody I'm a little bit scratching my head about. Bills, I think, have allowed 3 total touchdowns to the tight end position all year. I love Travis Kelce. I love Taylor Swift, too. We'll save that for another show. But I think that this game will be a ton of fun to watch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm excited. We got one bet in this one. Stu, you are our last bet here for the show. Let's go.
Yeah, we're going back to Josh Allen over 8.5 rush attempts. This was a show play last week that was a little bit short, unfortunately. And that one really grinded my gears, man, especially with that stupid, unnecessary roughness call where the quarterback didn't fall down at all. He just got pushed, which led to there being no kneel downs, which led to us losing this bet. Unfortunately, you never want to depend on the kneel downs, but I haven't reacted to something so poorly. I'm probably the only one in the world that was just spazzing out about that unnecessary roughness. Probably the worst call I've seen all year, and it's not particularly close. That being said, I thought it was a phenomenal call last week. Not to like toot my own horn, it obviously lost. And I think going back to it at 8.5 is great. And I'm really surprised it's still 8.5. I expected 9.5 to be the opening number. We saw one book, I believe Caesars had 9.5. I think they're back to 8.5 juice now, though. So we're still seeing it dependably stay on this number. And I think that's a mistake. And a lot of it is kind of the same analysis we had last week, which is the fact that just like earlier in the year when we were betting on Jalen Hurts, I don't think they fully accounted to what the short yardage playbook is for this Bills team right now. Because spoiler alert, it's give Josh Allen the ball, right? We're running the tush push from like 4th and 2 now, right? And it's a little bit of a different version, right? They don't get as low. They obviously have 2 guys pushing back, whether it's Gilliam or it was Fournette before. And now I guess it's going to be James Cook. I love that formation they're running. I don't know if to call it the tush push or not, but it's essentially the same thing, right? And to me, what I love so much about that is when you're baking in 4 like short yardage rush attempts per game that you can kind of de facto give to a quarterback before we even have to look at the scramble rate, before we even have to look at the quick pressure rate on the other side, that gives me a lot of hope. And Josh Allen's a guy that I'm always going to want to go to in these high stakes games against good teams to run the ball because he's one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league. You just don't need to show that every week of the game so that you're healthy enough to show it in a game like this. And we've seen it against Kansas City in the past, obviously hit it against them earlier in the year. He had that explosive run last week, which is great, but I think that's going to be a huge point of emphasis, especially with Bolton back in the lineup. Bolton's a phenomenal linebacker. His line's a little higher. I was going to play it, but they caught on right there. But I do think that the runs aren't going to be as explosive this week. I have a strong lean to the attempts over, especially with what I emphasize emphasized earlier about the short yardage playbook. I think that's the bigger edge, even though we obviously love the runs as much as anyone. It would have cashed you in one play last week, but it is important to realize that he doesn't do that every week, right? I love the guy. I love Josh Allen, but he doesn't do that every week. So for me, when I look at this match, when I look at a KC team that's been great at taking away explosive wide receiver ones, they're good at limiting explosive plays. They run some conservative too high safety looks. I think there's going to be opportunity for Josh Allen to take this into his own hands, especially, like I said, no Davis earlier. I'm worried about Kincaid. It's not the best matchup in the world for tight ends. In general, I think Josh Allen's going to be forced to make plays more himself, and we know he's more than comfortable doing that.
Yes, sir. I don't think he's going to force it down the field either. I think they kind of know that, I think you've seen it a lot earlier in the season where he just made those really why are you throwing that, right? This is crunch time. You haven't beat Mahomes. You finally get him at home, right? You finally get to play him in Buffalo. Yeah, I think I'm going to give him a little bit more of a pass here. Give him a little bit. Hey, you'll be smarter this game, right? We're going to be a little smarter in this spot. And do like the running back there as well. We got Ahan talking about everybody doubting me. It's just I know Ahan was a James Cook anti-guy there, but hey, he's turned it up this year. We got a lot of questions to get through here, guys. And let's get it going. We have a guy in here, Damani, talking about Mike Evans ladders will feed families. Hey,
could be.
Baker's getting 225, bro. I don't care. Yeah, but I think he's going to go crazy here. I think Mike Evans. Lines are going to be hit pretty hard here. I think Sunday morning, I expect them to kind of go up a few when everybody's locking in those 19-leg same-game parlays the day of. You know they're coming. So I'm definitely on that Mike Evans train here, kind of backing your guys' thoughts there. Our guy Impulse, think I'm going to be on Kelsey. He hasn't gone under 63.5 yards in a playoff game since the Super Bowl, 3 of 4 in the last ones versus the Bills. You guys have a thought on that? If you would take them, would you lean more towards the receptions, thinking yards, or just kind of a play you're kind of staying off of this week?
Yeah, I mean, I would personally go. I mean, if you didn't see, I played yesterday. I played Kelsey 5 catches and Kincaid 25 receiving yards as a little combination. The reason I took both of those guys down is because despite the fact that they're not in fantastic matchups, I think the volume is going to suit them both well. For me, I would not be going to Kelsey yards specifically. The yak ability in particular is what I'm most focused on. We're not really seeing the spryness, the quickness, the breaking tackles as much as we've seen in the past. To me, what I see is a dependable safety blanket. You're checked out. When all else is wrong, Kelsey's going to be your guy. So for me, I like receptions more. I think it's a little bit safer. And the other thing I'll say is the Bills aren't a good matchup on paper, but we got to stress this injury report, guys. We're talking about third string linebacker play. Benford as well in the cornerback room could be out. It could get kind of ugly right here. And I think that could breed more opportunity for Kelsey. So I like taking it down. I like playing it a little bit safer right there than the regular lines. But I mean, it hasn't been pretty this year whatsoever, but I think the pure volume is going to get him, 8-9 targets in this game.
Yeah, and for me, I love Travis Kelce. Again, I think that there are fewer people who appreciate what he can do for a football team. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people, to be honest, but I just think that what Travis Kelce brings, everybody wants to talk about, he fell off, he's 34, he's not as good as he used to be. Bullshit. I will still be taking Travis Kelce in the earlier rounds of fantasy football next year because that dude is a dog. And honestly, I just think defenses are game planning around him a little bit better. He's had a couple of bad drops. I don't know what that's about. Maybe just some lingering issues. Once he's back and healthy, I have no worries about Travis Kelce. But for this game specifically, I think that the Chiefs are really going to rely on Rashee Rice. I do think that the Chiefs are going to rely on Travis Kelce. He might be, I think that you had said, he's gone over that in his line in 3 of the 4 last games against the Bills. Yep, there it is. Yeah, but in how many of those games has he been over the age of 33 years old? 0. This is the first one. I'll talk about his age as if it matters. It doesn't. I'm not sure how I feel about Travis Kelce. Again, this is such a toss-up of a game. One thing I know for sure is I will not be taking his anytime touchdown, but I love Travis Kelce. If you love him too, take his overs.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to try and get through these ones quick here, guys. We got our guy Ben in here. Appreciate you, Ben, and a long-time watcher of the show. Appreciate you on that. I'm going to give a couple more spots out. Got 3 more questions I do want to get to because I don't think we've talked about any of them at all. We got what are you guys' thoughts on maybe carries, rush attempts for James Cook here? Our guy Colin coming in here talking about how they've been struggling with runs to the left side. Obviously, you saw the over in attempts go for James Cook last week with the 18. And obviously we had Josh Allen missed by that one. Yeah, F the Steelers, bro. But that's a different story. Any thoughts here on James Cook? Are you guys gonna be on that spot? We also have a guy talking sports with Flo talking about Pacheco there. That kind of correlates with what you guys were talking about in the little bit lower scoring, a little more run heavy. If you had to pick one, who are you leaning to? Yeah, Pacheco or Cook in terms of their props? Or either one of them you lean into, or is it just kind of a wash there?
I mean, I like them both. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to get to Pacheco. I still need to think about that a little bit more. The injury report matters a lot to me because, like, I think if Benford is out, who's going to stop Rice? Like, Rice might have like 400 yards in that game, so that obviously is drastically going to affect how I feel about it. For me, you just got to watch that Bills injury report kind of closely, in my opinion. On the other side, I do like James Cook over. There's been a clear switch, right, when they switch offensive coordinators. We talked about it last week, and it's probably something I should have talked about in my Josh Allen analysis a little bit earlier, right? The reason I was so highly emphasizing third and short rushing is because they've been one of the more aggressive first and second down rushing teams, which is crazy to say because Josh Allen's the quarterback. But since we've had that offensive coordinator shift, that's what it's taken to kind of slow down the explosive plays a little bit. They're a slower paced team. They're running the ball more. So for that reason, no one else. Yeah, who else are you going to go? It's James Cook or nobody. It's James Cook or Josh Allen, right? I mean, I love playoff Lenny. Best ball ownership. It went right down the drain this year, maybe, but I don't know if he scored a single point for me, so that wasn't fun at 21% ownership or whatever. But that being said, there's no one else there, right? It's Josh Allen and it's him. So for that reason, I would definitely lean the over at the carries.
I had to cover my ears when you mentioned playoff Lenny, bro. My ownership on playoff Lenny was a little too high for my liking in best ball. So yeah, that's a tough name to hear right now going through that.
If I'm taking a look at those two running backs, I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards Isaiah Pacheco. The one reason just being we saw that the Chiefs really got him involved early. They got him involved real early. And I think with them being underdogs, they may not have a good script, but I know that they will get him involved early. And I think that when you
Is everybody else hearing that too, or?
Yeah, I think your mic just died right there. Hit him a quick mute for us real quick.
There,
Okay.
I just muted him for a sec.
Okay,
That was so weird, bro.
we were both trying to figure out if that was us, but it was not us.
No, yeah, something was going on there. How much did you hear? You hear
No,
all
it
that?
sounded like someone put a drill in your ear as soon as you started talking right there.
Bro, you have no idea how fast I clicked to every tab that I have open thinking I did some shit. And I'm like, dude, what's going on here? Is this me? I'm like, is this me? And then I mute myself. I'm like, oh, we're good. So, oh man, that was rowdy. I haven't heard that. That was I felt like someone was doing construction, like right outside my window.
I have no clue, guys. I didn't hear it. I'll have to watch the show back. And when I watch it back, I'm like,
pop it back to 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 40 seconds. If you want to hear a drill noise there, pop it back there. Let's go through our recap, guys. Let's go through our recap. I think we got to almost all of our questions. If anybody has another one and we missed it, if you want to drop it in there again, obviously appreciate all your guys' questions popping here. We'll get Stu's in there first.
Sounds good. Start out double decker, rare 2 units appearance from me. Maybe the first on the show all year long. We're going to Amon-Ra St. Brown over 7.5 receptions plus 100 DraftKings. We're going 90 plus receiving yards minus 120 over on FanDuel. Slightly better price on Bet Rivers if you have it as well. Then we're going back to the man, the myth, the legend, Wyoming zone, Josh Allen over 8.5 rush attempts, baby. Get me my money back. I need it. I deserve it from last week after that bullshit. So let's run it back.
All right, let's get Ben's in there. He had him in the first 2 games. Make sure you guys get these in.
yeah, I'm taking Lamar Jackson's longest completion over 36.5 yards. Just going up against a defense that allows some of the most explosive pass plays in the NFL. And then same boat here. George Kittle, I love the way that he's going to be used with the way that the Packers utilize their linebackers, leave open the middle, play a ton of zone defense. My model likes both of these plays to the tune of more than 60%. I like to believe they're plus EV, whether they are, whether they aren't. They got good football reasons for betting on them too. So those are my two plays right now.
Beautiful. I'll be rolling plus money spot here with my boy Baker. Jordan Love combo. $225 a piece, plus 106 FanDuel Sportsbook over there. And I am as well, third week in a row, riding that Sun God train here. Amon-Ra, 7 catches. Jared Goff, 250 passing yards there at minus 104 on FanDuel there. Do you guys want to post the touchdown stuff on Twitter? You want to do it here? What do you want to do?
Yeah, what do you got for us? Me and Ben are ready to go. We got our touchdown.
I know, hey, if I didn't get anything in my group, I didn't get any text of it, so I don't know what you guys got. Drop them. What you got?
Walk into your DMs. Well, you start with Ben. Let's go.
I mentioned it a little bit already, but I think Rashee Rice, this is the guy that's going to be the Chiefs' offensive weapon. I know that the Bills are not allowing a ton of touchdowns to the wide receiver position. That is the one thing that's kind of making me scratch my head about this. But you think about the Kansas City Chiefs, Rashee Rice has the 4th most red zone targets since the Chiefs bye week. He only has fewer red zone targets than Cooper Kupp, CeeDee Lamb, and Calvin Ridley. Otherwise, the Chiefs are doing everything they can to get the ball to Rashee Rice. He would have had 2 touchdowns last week had one not been called back. So take that as a starting point. The second starting point, as good as the Bills have been against wide receivers, they've been even better against tight ends. Like I said, I'm not taking that Travis Kelce anytime touchdown, even though it's got, I think that one's priced a little bit better or worse, whatever way you look at it. But Rashee Rice is a guy, if they are playing from behind, if the Chiefs are playing like dogs, they're going to be running the plays that have been scoring them touchdowns, the plays that have been getting the ball in Rashee Rice's hands in the red zone. So for me, I'm taking Rashee Rice anytime touchdown.
I love that angle. I mean, obviously, there was a nice pocket where he was getting that elite usage and he was like plus 200 still. That obviously collapsed very fast. But even then, I see best in market right now, plus 130 over on DraftKings. For me, I'm going to George Kittle as my favorite touchdown spot of the week. Plus 140 is currently the best price. You obviously had some fantastic analysis about George Kittle earlier. Something I like to emphasize a lot with my touchdown bets is having the ability to not only score from inside the red zone, but also outside the red zone. I would say Kittle's one of the rare, yards after catch dominant tight ends where I really do think that is a possibility for a guy like him. But even though inside the red zone, when we get those one-on-one matchups, right, when we get whether it's a safety linebacker, I like our chances a lot right here. I really do. Kittle's an absolute beast. We know CMC is going to get his. He's minus 300. Obviously, that's going to happen. No spoiler here, but Purdy himself is also minus 200 to throw 2 passing touchdowns in this one as well. And when we do get down to the red zone, I think Kittle, they're going to continue to dominate that middle of the field. And I think that just becomes such a great option. So for me, I think he's still priced a little bit too high at plus 140 right there, considering all the offense we're expecting.
Yes, sir. I'm on Lamar Jackson here in the playoffs. I think it's nice of what you said that he hasn't played in like 3 weeks, right? So he's going to be ready to go, man. He's going to be putting that body on the line. Obviously, he's got to get a couple wins here, get him to the Super Bowl, get that MVP case even bigger than what it already is. He's probably going to win it already, but he's got to show out in the playoffs. And also, give me that plus 120. This dude hasn't scored a touchdown in 9 games. Books know it too, bro. They know he's scoring, bro. 9 games in a row without scoring a rushing touchdown, I just looked at. And now you're going to give me a plus 120? All right. You're giving it to – I'm a roll with him. I think that's a good line. Obviously, I like the quarterbacks rushing a little bit more in the playoffs and in the regular season as well. So, like this spot for sure.
It's funny because you both have the 2 guys that I wanted to take. And I was like, I already have a bet on Lamar Jackson. I already have a bet on George Kittle. I'm not going to take another bet on him. But those are the 2 guys I wanted to bet on the most. I'll probably throw some, half unit plays on them. No team allowing more rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks than the Texans, I believe. If not the most, it's top 5 for sure. But Lamar Jackson definitely poised for a touchdown, I think.
I like that. Can one of you guys, while we're on the topic, can one of you guys talk me off of Gus Edwards this week? Because despite the fact that I do like the passing attack, I love Gus Edwards, man. And I opened up the book. I saw plus 115 is the best price on Lamar. You can get the Gus Bus himself, plus 125, man. That was like minus 135 to end the year. So It's gonna be. I've wanted to bet, like, my fingers been on the trigger for Gus Edwards rush yards and touchdown like all week. Like, it's so close, but we'll see. We'll see how that one shakes out. But I love the Gus plus.
All right, last question. Trey must have dropped this earlier. I must have not seen it. I have no real thought on Debo rushing yards. It's not really something I really feel like I need to bet on. I would rather just take his receiving yards. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? I don't feel like I need to get too cute on these.
I think when I mentioned a little earlier about how the Packers have been so great about stopping running backs, that kind of falls into this category. I know he's not really a running back. I'd rather just take the receiving yards here as well. Middle of the field should be open. Seen a ton of red zone usage. Debo could have a good game, but I doubt it's on the ground.
Yeah, it's tough for me. I looked at rushing plus receiving. I looked at that as a strong consideration just because, as we always talk about in these multiple category bets, you want upside in either position. And while Debo's not going to be a high carry kind of guy, we've seen it time after time. He can really generate explosive plays from the backfield. So for me, the rushing and receiving was kind of tempting. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing I said earlier, that I think you can make a really good case for each one of these individual weapons. So when you're paying a premium of a very high number at Debo Samuel, when I think he's just about as likely to go over as everyone else, that for me, it's not a play. But if it were, it would be it would be rushing and receiving. It wouldn't just be the solo rushing yards, because I think it's a little bit hard to game plan for that. I would like it maybe more if they were in a negative game script. The one thing I will say is, man, I love that against the Lions. I started calling it at halftime of the Lions game, and I started going around to the bar and letting everyone know that if Debo Samuel makes it to the Lions, unload the bank account. And I want to let everyone know here so that I can take credit for it first as well again next week, because, oh my God, guys, if that matchup happens, oh my God, the CJ Gardner-Johnson trash talk, inject into my veins. We're going over 100, 125 and 2 touchdowns easily. Can lock that in for next. I'm giving you guys plays for next week, baby. That's how forward thinking we are over here. So I'm fired up. I think we got some great stuff today. And hey, a little sprinkle for next week for good times.
Well, hopefully that doesn't come to fruition. Hopefully the Packers win, and I don't have to see the 49ers play again. But that is a different story. Obviously, tough game there. Stu, you got anything else for the people here before we head out? We'll obviously get our breakdown here.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a long one. I appreciate everyone sticking with us throughout this hour and 15. Kept Ben hostage a little bit longer than expected, but hope you guys didn't mind that at all. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I think we got some great plays today. Good analysis, fun games. I'm just super pumped to see these games kick off. I'm ready for action right now. Let's start. I see a little snow outside. Let's get it going. I'm in the house. I'm not leaving anyway. So super pumped. Glad we could get, such a phenomenal guest. You killed it for us last year on the show when you came in here during the playoffs. Excited to see that again. Glad we're all, in sync as well this week. So good vibes going into the weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Ben, for tuning in. If you want to tell everybody where they can find you and find all your content.
Yeah, just at Ben Wolby. I'm just tweeting. Got some cool stuff. I appreciate you guys having me back on the show. This has been one of my longtime favorite shows. So love watching, and now I love to be a 2-time guest. Let's run it back sometime, make it 3.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know it's just so weird to think that we've been doing the show for 3 years, bro. It just feels wild. But hopefully we can add some units to our year-long numbers here, hopefully getting close to that 15 mark by the end of the season. Thank you, Ben, as always, for joining us. Make sure you guys go check him out over on Twitter. You got his name right there. Go check it out. And we will be back on Monday for another round for Pass the Prop, and we'll hopefully be talking about some winners here. So thank you, guys. Have a good one, and best of luck this weekend on the divisional bets.